So, on this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast, back to school budgeting. So, welcome back to this week's episode of the podcast. My name is Shawn Yesner, owner and founder of Yesner Law, and I'm joined remote today by your financial coach. How you doing, George?
I'm doing well. I'm coming off all of these great episodes that we keep publishing. Again, we're tooting our own horn, but
Right.
yeah, I'm doing okay. Clients, I could say we're in that season where you're either spending more or you're trying to get addressing some of the things. But I've had some client successes, paying off some debts, and now getting ready to kind of buy the first house and things like that. So I'm very excited for some of my clients. You know who you are, and congratulations on that. But I gotta say, it's still hot in Florida. Is that legal to say?
It's
Because
Florida.
it's it's still too hot, man. I'm not. I mean, I've been here. It's gonna be 8 years, and I'm still like, my goodness, this is like, how do you guys do this? How did you do this from like when you were 5? Like, this is crazy. It's too hot.
So, I had a buddy of mine spend a couple of days, him and his wife and son spent a couple of days here in Tampa.
Yep.
And this is a buddy of mine from college. So, it's
Hmm.
a buddy of mine that I met in Tallahassee. When he graduated, he was from Fort Lauderdale, so he went back down to Fort Lauderdale. I'm from Miami, so for a few years after I graduated law school, I moved back to Miami and hung out with him some more. He eventually got married, had a kid, moved away to North Carolina. I stayed here in Florida, but he came back to visit for a couple days, a couple weeks ago, and he had become acclimated to North Carolina. He said, "Dude, how it is so hot and so humid. How do you do it?" And I'm like, I, whatever. I'm used to
Yeah.
walking outside and instantly sweating. It doesn't
You're
bother me
used to it.
anymore.
I'm not, dude. I still that blanket of humidity. Forget the sun hot, because by the time it gets to like 9:30 a.m., it's already like brutal. Like I try to do my morning walks to avoid the sun, and yet if I miss that window, it is a scorcher to kind of
So
deal with. So no, thank you.
I grew up literally 2 blocks from my high school. So I used to walk to and from
Mm.
high school every day. And I remember down in Miami, there were days where I would leave the house to walk to school. It would be 100%
Oof.
humidity,
Oh, I love that.
no no rain. 100% humidity, no rain. I
So you
would
get smacked into the wall of water by the time you go and you're walking.
you
How much sweating are you
instantly
doing at that point?
Oh yeah, you instantly start sweating the instant you walk outside. It
Oh
did
my
wonders for
goodness.
my hair, as you can see.
Well, your scalp is looking fantastic. Let's put it like
Exactly.
that.
Back then, I had a full head of afro hair. So
Beautiful. Beautiful. But dude,
speaking speaking of
school?
school, speaking of school,
Oh my gosh.
it
I
is
thought we
that
just
time.
finished. Did we just finish this thing? Like, did we just get out?
Seems like we just finished, yeah, but it time never stops. The
Got to
what
get back to the routine itself. But my friend, like, can I just say, like, it's expensive for backpacks, and it's expensive for like what goes into those backpacks to get back to school. But like, yeah, it's that time of year that we have to start thinking, because I think Target is already back into the back to school sections and buying all the calculators and getting all that stuff prepped, because it is that season to get ready.
Well, and not to scare you, but as soon as back to school shopping season is over, the Christmas decorations go out. Isn't that how it works?
Fine. Yes, it does. It's definitely what I've noticed for sure.
So, how are you? So you've got now one out of college and one in college, right?
One graduated, so I'm happy about that. She's on her own, so she gets to, understand what life is, and, get to figure out what you're doing there. But I have one who's just starting back to school. She did go. She's going to community college to, again, I love the inexpensiveness of that, what that sounds like.
Right.
But yes, back to college. I know you got. Is it high school already, or is it, getting ready? What's your
Well,
transition look like?
so this will be an interesting episode because you've got one that just finished college, you've got
Yep.
one going into college.
Yep.
My oldest starts high school in the fall, and my younger son is in seventh grade, so his second year of middle school. So
Nice.
you've got two. college or older. I've got two still in grade school. So it'll be an interesting discussion about our back to school budgets.
It's mine's already getting hit because one I'll admit this already. You know, one of the things for transition from high school to college is the cost of a laptop. We needed, she needs a new laptop because we had one that was available through the high school, but when you get to college, it's all you. So
Right.
we needed to. That was the first investment back to school was getting a new laptop. Which again, I'm noticing. I think most of us are noticing the increase of cost for electronic, these expenses. Apple's raised the prices for a lot of their laptops and the
Right.
hardware for when it comes to the phones and things like that. So one thing that I've noticed is the expense is increasing because of, again, you could blame tariffs, you can blame, chipsets, availability, demand, whatever it is, it's gone up, my friend. And that was the first cost. I was like, ugh. Do you really, honey? Do you really need this laptop? I don't know. Maybe go with that old iPad from 15 years ago. I think we can still use that thing. I think we have some life. But yeah, that
Well,
was that was the first one that had to go down. Was the new laptop.
I've tried to save a little bit of money because I've got like old monitors from the office, and
Of course.
almost everybody now uses two monitors.
Yes.
A-
Oh,
And I've tried
definitely.
to save a little bit of money because I've got old monitors that the law firm doesn't use anymore or whatever. But now the challenge that I'm running into is the monitors are old enough that they don't have a direct connection to plug into the computer.
Yeah.
So now I've got to go to Best Buy, Target, Walmart, whatever, and get the right connectors to go from a
Yes.
HDMI to a USB-C or a HDMI to a VGA or whatever to make all these connections work so that we can have multiple monitors for me and the boys.
So again, the monitor's still good. I mean, obviously we don't need HD to read an email. We don't
Right,
need 4K to read an email. I get that. But you're right. As I mean, I've got monitors that are probably at least 3, 4 years old for sure, if not older. But it's the connections. Do you have the right connections? And a lot of these new laptops, even though it makes sense, like, oh, a laptop connected to a monitor, you get better visual, right? A lot of the laptops don't have the HDMI anymore. Again, they're saving money on the
right,
connections, so you have to buy. Hey, wink, wink, Apple. You make me buy a lot of cables so I can make connections to older equipment that I still need.
right.
But yes, those costs you have to consider as part of those purchases as well. So yeah, but that's just one of
But
many expenses going back to school.
so this week's episode is about how to budget for back to school.
Yeah.
And I know, George, that you've got some stats. So you want to hit us with some statistics?
Oh, I am a good statistician. I'm the money coach in me always comes stands out in these. But parents are based off. And again, we can list some of the sources as part of this. But we're as parents are expected to spend at an average of $922 back to school shopping this year, and that's about 47% increase than what was spent last year. So my guess though is, we're talking, inflation numbers. Things are expensive, but I think for us, back to school shopping is always something there. But yeah, it looks like we're going to be spending a lot more. In those kind of things between clothes, shoes, supplies, electronics. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot more expensive than it was since last year. But dude, do you believe the total again average is but the total amount spent is almost 40 billion nationally. That's with a B, not just I was floored in regards to that number. But yeah, I guess it's big business to go back to school, my friend.
Sounds like I need to start a company that makes backpacks and drink thermoses and
Whew. Yeah, oh my goodness, the Uwala, what is it, or the Ulala, the thermos that you need that they love to have on the first day, but they will lose the straw or
well,
the cap or something by the first week.
and I've had my boys last year, both of them. I got them those metal, um, bottles that
Yeah.
keep the cold stuff cold and keep the hot stuff hot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I never figured that type of a bottle could ever break, but leave it to my boys. The thing,
Hey, Dad, hold my beer. I'm gonna go. Hold my metal container. I'm gonna take care of it right now. Hold on, I got you.
I had one literally fall apart. The inside piece that keeps the cold stuff cold and the hot stuff hot literally fell out of the water bottle.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
they get dented. They get dented
Yeah.
where they don't stand up anymore. They get might so. But why don't we go through some of these fees and expenses? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, so for you in college, and God, it's been almost 30, 40 years since I was
Hmm.
in college, maybe 30, between 30 and 40 years.
All right, old man.
Yeah.
Same
So
here though, because we're not that big.
I remember you'd buy the books for like what, $200, $300,
Yeah.
which today probably is five, six, seven, $800.
If you
Now you
buy
could,
them, if you buy them physically, yes.
right.
So
And
that is yeah. Who again? Who buys physical books, my friend? I just put it on.
well,
I'll just put it on my laptop or on my electronic device. What are we doing here?
well, at least when I bought them physical, you could return them at the end of the year and
Sure.
get like 5 cents on the dollar.
Get a credit for it. Yes,
Right.
I would agree. Yeah, that doesn't work anymore. That's but yeah, I think the big expense going back to school is books. You know, your hardware, the things that you need to take the classes themselves. So if you're going to college, that's the classes themselves. There's costs associated with, with going back to college as well. But we'll stick to just the supplies you need, right? So what is
Right
it you
now,
need in there? Yeah, so books is one. Notebooks, pencils if you're doing physical. Okay, boomer. But yes, laptops, things to take the classes are going to be part of those expenses that you need to start thinking about.
well, and for grade school, the teachers still want them to get the physical
Yeah,
pencils. Now, one of the things that we're going to talk about is after we kind of flush out all the different expenses, maybe some ways to save money. But one of the things that I feel like I got lucky with, which I'm assuming you did as well,
yeah,
if my older son's teacher says you need to buy a box of 20 pencils, and my younger son's teacher says you need to buy a box of 20 plus 20 pencils, I typically will just buy the one box of pencils
yeah,
and then 10 to each kid, and if they go through them by the end of the year, I'll buy more pencils at that point.
yeah.
But
Right.
I've been able
It's
to
funny,
double up.
supplies for the classroom, not just supplies for you guys, but
Right.
how do we help the classroom as well? That seems to be more common than we think.
Although it's funny, I had a good friend of mine who does really well, makes a lot of money, does really well for himself. And one of the things that he did was he got the list. And so the list says, here are all the different supplies that we need for the classroom. We need packets of paper. We need tissues. We need hand sanitizer. We need
Ooh,
highlighters. We need this.
yep,
We need this. We need this. Well, normally all the parents would kind of split it up. One parent would buy the box of paper, one parent would buy the pencils, one parent would buy the box of tissues. Well,
right.
my friend didn't understand that. He took the entire list, bought everything on the list, and gave it to the teacher.
Love
And the
it.
teacher's like, "This is awesome, thank you so much," but you only really needed to buy the classroom one of
Right.
the things on the list.
Yeah, you know what? But
But
he gave back. That's okay. That's love the enthusiasm. And hey, if you're in a position that way that you can, I'd imagine the teacher's going to love you because
oh yeah,
a lot of times they're struggling. No offense. I mean, I think again, the sign of the times, people are struggling to, from
yeah.
a classroom standpoint, not only individually from a students, but the teachers are having to go out of their pockets to be able to provide some of the supplies that are needed from the classroom. So those kind of instances like hey good samaritan or good hey do your thing I love that when you if you can do it give back that's always a good thing
My
but oopsies
sister.
on his thing.
Right. My sister is a high school. She's now a high school teacher in
Hmm.
Tallahassee. She went from middle school to high school, but every year she posts online. She has an Amazon page of the kinds of stuff that, her wish list for her classroom. And so one of the ways you can make a difference if you've got a little bit of extra money, find a teacher that you know, ask that teacher what you can do to help. Because you're
Yes.
right. The school gives them a small budget, but a majority of the stuff in their classrooms, they have to buy. So if you know a teacher, you're friends with a teacher, you've got family members who are teachers,
Yeah.
see what you can buy for them.
I love it. And it's a good way to go back and give back, from that standpoint. Because again, it is expensive. You got the books, you got the pencils, the protractors. Do we still use protractors? I mean, like, I think we do, still use the protractor, but
I think so. I think so.
your calculators. I mean, you were thinking I mean, the youngins can probably use your basic calculator, but as you start to go in some of the more complex math, especially in middle school, high school, you're going to need one of those scientific, calculators that you're going to, you kind of, solving some of those problems. And then again, you're still talking $80, $90 for
Yeah.
some of those devices. So that's some craziness from that. So for me, that's some of the, some of the taxes, I'm sorry, the taxes, some of the stuff that you're getting. I'm already thinking like tax free thing that I have some suggestions on tips wise there for us there too. But my friend, you're forgetting the most important thing. You got to look good to go to high
Yeah.
school. I mean, unless you're blessed to have a uniform when you're going to school, which my youngest daughter had that when she was going through middle school. But my man, if not, clothes is probably one of the biggest expenses that your kids are going to have going you got to get new kicks. You got to get some
So
new, new threads.
I am in the middle of that right now. So my kids' middle school had school uniforms,
Hmm.
and so it's great. I
Love it.
you either needed to buy polos, and you had hunter green or
Hmm.
white or black polos. That was all
Yep.
they were allowed to wear. Now I could have gone through the school and gotten school polos with the school logo on it for a 200% upcharge, or I could just go to Target, go to Amazon, go wherever, and just buy a plain generic hunter green, black, or white. And then they had two different. They could either be in black or khaki shorts,
Yeah.
and that was it. But my son's high school has no dress code, and so now I'm like, everything is on the table now. It doesn't matter what kind of, as long as it's got no, you know, curse words, bad
Yeah,
messages,
exactly. You're right.
unless, but other than that, any shirt that he wants to wear, he can wear. Any shorts that he wants to wear, he can wear. He always, and of course, boys, the shoes that my son is in the middle of this now. The cleats that I bought him for soccer at the beginning of last year no longer fit him. So now he needs new
That's
cleats,
the other thing.
new shoes.
They grow up like boom, like these growth spurts are real,
Oh, I
especially for
know.
boys. Ugh.
My son woke up the other day, and every morning he wakes up, I'm out there making coffee
Yeah.
or making breakfast or whatever, and he'll come out and he'll give me a hug or something. And the other day he put his head on my shoulder, and I'm like, "Whoa, when did you get so tall?"
Bro. He's like, "Hey dad, how you doing?"
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Regardless, he's always got to remember I'm his dad. I can beat him up.
Oh, mess you. Hey, one day he gonna push you, and you're gonna be like, son, you need to remember that rent is still free until until further notice. So just be careful there, buddy. No,
I'm
growing up, I remember that like growth spurts. My girls were, of course, they, certain. That was the other thing. It was like hair product. You're lucky. You maybe you got a little like mousse and something to mold the hair on the kids. I had to deal with makeup and certain different. Dad, that shampoo, it's not for that. It's for this. I'm like, so you need four different shampoo. Okay, I'm not even going to question anymore. But yes, the cost of all of those things we have to consider as part of this. But dude, the average again, I'll give you another stat. The average for clothing and shoes alone, just for the beginning of the year, $278 just to
wow.
get them started. So that's actually double to what you're actually going to be spending on school supplies like backpacks, notebooks, and pens. So, dude, craziness in regards to the spending.
Well,
Um, yeah,
here's the other thing with whether they're in elementary school, middle school, preschool, college, doesn't
yeah.
matter. These kids, for some reason, they have to eat.
Oh, by eating. My good. What a
I've never
concept.
understood. Now,
Lunch meals. Yeah, that makes sense.
so here's the funniest part.
Please.
My boys would come up to me and, Dad, my school lunch account is at zero, or I've got 50 cents left in it, or I've got this or that. And whenever they tell me that, I'll put like 20 bucks in it and I'll say,
Hmm.
okay, here's your 20 bucks. This is going to last you X amount of weeks or days or months or whatever. Then one day they came to me and they said, we need more money for to buy food at school. And I said, okay, well, are you buying lunches at school? And they said, no, school lunch is free. Well, what the heck do you need the money for? Because they wanted to buy a soda, they wanted to buy a
Yeah,
candy bar, they wanted to
the
buy a bag
extra.
of chips, they wanted to buy.
Absolutely.
So that was even more money going into the budget so that they could eat. And I'm like, meanwhile, I load you up. So I try to do a healthy lunch, give them a sandwich, give them some vegetables,
Hmm.
give them, some chips, give them a
Yeah,
cookie, whatever.
something. Hmm.
But that's not enough. They got to buy all this garbage food at school.
Yes, my friend, that's one thing that, first of all, I commend you on the vegetable. Like, you got to eat some, vegetables and fruits and vegetables. I love that. That stuff comes back.
I know.
In lunch, in my lunch is so we definitely can push it. Some days it gets eaten. Some days it's used. You have to, again, it's used for trade. I'm going to trade you this so I can
Yeah.
can we do that? So you got to make sure the trade market is high for our kids as well. So I'm
So,
hoping most of our listeners are listening are laughing on that one because they
right.
probably can relate to that one.
I don't have the vegetables come back so often, but I haven't quite figured out yet if it's because they're eating the vegetables, trading away the vegetables, or just
Exactly.
throwing them out before they get home.
Either one. It's we hope it's at least trade or eat, please. Let's
Right.
let's not throw away. There's a lot of people starving out there. Let's make sure we that's the guilt one I put on my kids. Do you know how many kids are, there's people starving out there. Go
Right.
eat what we give you. What is wrong with you? But yeah, let me give you our, one of the tips. I think we all experience. A lot of states are now coming in with this tax, sales tax holidays. So I'm gonna, for more than 20 states are doing it in 2026. I'm gonna give you some of the ones that we have here, for Florida, Texas. But Florida is July 20th on my birthday, so I'll take that, and August 20th. So again, tax free on clothes under $100, computers under 15, school supplies included all month long. So love Florida for that. Good job on that, guys. Texas, August 7th to 9th. So just a few days, but they're doing, clothing, sportswears, supplies, backpacks, all under $100, sales tax free. South Carolina, August 7th and 9th through the 9th. Same thing. There's no price cap on most items, which is nice. Again, so good there. And Massachusetts is doing theirs August 8th through the 9th. Most retail up to 2,500 so from a sale. So guys, like tax-free weekends only save a few bucks, no big deal. In some of these cases, hey, taxes on $1,500 is real money. That's
Yeah.
sales tax at 8%, 9%. That's some good money that you can be saving if you wait for those periods of time for that purchase.
Yeah. Well, and here in Florida where I live, or here in Hillsborough County where I live, school starts August 10 of 2026, Monday,
There you
August
go.
10 of 2026. And I remember last year I took the boys back to school shopping, and I think I took them a couple of days or maybe a week before the
Hmm.
sales tax holiday started. So I made them put everything back on the shelf. And then we went back because here in Florida it's 7%. And
Hmm.
if I'm gonna spend what $500 or let's
Yeah.
$1,000 on school supplies, I can save $70 by
That's money. I understand it doesn't sound like a lot, but 70 to $100, that's meals, that's another clothes, that's a shoes, whatever it might be. It's money that we
right.
want to definitely save on. So yeah, it's a smart move. So again, check your state to see if they when's your tax holiday, and take advantage of that as part of your back to school spending too.
So here's something I didn't realize growing up. What about sports and
Yeah.
extracurricular activities? I mean,
Oh my goodness.
I don't hide that I was in the band growing up. Now, luckily, because I was a drummer, the band supplied our instruments. I
Yeah.
didn't have to buy my own drums,
Hmm.
but I had to buy drumsticks.
Yep.
Um, and I don't know, maybe it'd be fun one day to talk to my mom to see if she remembers what she had to buy.
What
I don't
expenses?
think I had to pay for a uniform, um,
There's
but I
probably a
had to
fee. There's probably a fee or
probably.
something to participate in the program. Maybe uniforms, even if they're reused, they probably, again, there's a cleaning fee. There's something that's associated. There's always a fee associated.
Yeah, and even with those uniforms, we were responsible for dry cleaning our own uniforms,
Yeah,
and
there you go.
you could tell which kids did not dry clean their uniforms when the uniform could march the show by itself. You'd know you'd know what parents, but there are extracurricular costs involved. I mean, like I said, my one son is in travel soccer, and
Travel is that word right away gets me nervous when you say
yeah,
travel.
I probably spend between 2 and 3 grand a year on travel soccer,
That
and
makes
that's just he's at a lower level of travel soccer. So we're just traveling within Tampa Bay. We're not
right.
traveling within Florida.
Florida
If
or
we were,
state or
yeah,
yeah.
or out of state
Oof.
where now hotel fees come into
Yep.
it, room
Flight and
fees
yep.
come into it.
Yep. Yep.
Um, there's my son tried out for soccer at middle school. I had to buy now it was $25, but I had to buy a $25 accident policy to allow him to try out, whether he made the team or not. I had to buy this $25. And so you think about it, think about the hundreds of kids that try out that are all
Mm-hmm.
required to buy this $25 accident policy. This insurance company is
Just in
raking in
case.
money hand over fist because there's only 11 on the pitch and maybe 10 more as substitutes. So you've got a middle school of a couple of hundred kids and you've got 15 to 20 that can be on the team. Now, football carries a little bit more, basketball carries less, volleyball carries less, but you've still got all these hidden expenses. My other son I've talked about is in Boy Scouts. And so every year it's, how what is the tent? Do I need to replace our tent? Do I need to replace the air mattresses? Do I need to replace the cots? What kind of batteries do I need for all the supplies?
Mm-hmm.
Plus the cost of being in Boy Scouts, the cost of going to all these campouts, extracurricular activities. Although you know what I always say, the football team is for the kids that couldn't make the band.
That's one way
But
to go. I like it.
all of those hidden costs of the
Underestimated.
extracurricular activities are things you got to factor into back to school.
Always, yeah, it's underestimated in the school budget. Obviously, school budgeting has to be part of getting ready for the new year. What do we need to buy? You have to include youth sports. If your kid's going to be participating in baseball, summer or winter league, whatever it might be, any type of sports, budgeting registration fees, budgeting the total season costs, equipment costs, any of those things, we usually leave them out, and I think it's
Mhm.
important for us to include them because it's just one of those where we start like thinking like these are hidden costs or oh like where did this cost come from? It's like you knew they were coming. We just didn't, we didn't anticipate them, and then all of a sudden it becomes a budget buster that we
Right.
need to think about. Let me give you some stats. Love giving you some more stats here with this one because this blows my mind, man. Average family spends about $1,000 on a child's primary sport in 2024. That was the average cost.
Wow.
That was about 6% increase since 2019. So again, less than 5 years increase. They're estimating right now it's about 1,100 for baseball, right? About $1,100. Soccer is about 910. Basketball is about 876. Hockey, field, skiing, all of those kind of $2,500 per year. Per year,
Wow.
this is the cost that we're hit. And if you start to think about travel, it probably adds at least 25% more to those costs. Keeping it real, guys, 0.001% of us are these kids are going into pro.
Right.
We are spending way too much money. in youth sports. I understand why it's good, blah blah blah. We can justify the expense. It just for me, like I don't mind if like you participate and you just for having fun, but I do watch the youth baseball, right? Little league baseball is big.
right?
How much is being invested in those teams and in those
Well,
costs? That's crazy.
here's the other thing, and I've talked to a lot of parents about this, but back when we grew up, we played soccer, baseball, football. We played multiple sports. Kids today, the parents tend to focus them into one sport, and that's it. I mean, even my son that plays soccer, now he also plays flag football. He also likes playing basketball, but his soccer coach came to me one day and he said, "Your son has the technical skills to be a really good soccer player,
Okay.
but he lacks the strength and the stamina."
Nice.
So I called a buddy of mine. He hooked me up with a strength and conditioning coach. For the last 6-ish months, give or take, my son has been with a strength and conditioning coach to get his speed up and his stamina up. That's another monthly expense I got to
Yeah.
pay this coach. And it, to say, my son could be a professional blank player, soccer player, football player, baseball player, basketball player, whatever, but now you're focusing your kid on that one sport. Now you've got to get coaches outside of whatever
Yeah.
coach is teaching your kid the sport or coaching your kid in the sport. So that adds, we talk about those hidden costs of being in an extracurricular activity. Even when I was in band back in junior high and high school and college, I had a drum instructor
Yeah.
that my parents paid for me to get private
Yeah.
lessons so I could be a better drummer.
Private
So
lessons, singing,
it,
that's another expense thing. And we're talking sports, but you can have, band, singing, acting, dance routines,
yeah,
anything like that. All of those are extracurricular activities. Those are hidden costs, especially if you want to, if you want to perform, more or do better or get, improve as part of the performance. Those are all going to be hidden costs that we shouldn't be hidden. They're
right.
known. It's just more let's put them on the budget so we don't kind of forget them as part of the school year progresses.
Hopefully it pays off in terms of college scholarships. We'll see.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Although I
I
don't
I,
know
I
that I'm.
I'll give you that. If the kid's good, I really do hope. I mean, you never know. I mean, minor leagues, there's world leagues. I had a friend that they moved to Europe because their son was very talented from a soccer. They moved and uprooted to Europe to get, the coaching and the training that they needed in the England leagues, those out there.
Wow.
Kids 18 now, and he's I want to call it semi-pro, but he's out there playing on in those leagues. So, but that was a huge commitment to the family to kind of like, hey, we're going
Yeah.
to uproot and leave. But they did that because they saw something there.
I was at a soccer game last year and I was sitting next to a mom from the other team, and the conversation just kind of turned towards the kids, and I'm not extremely happy with the soccer league that my son's in right now, but
Sure.
it's close to where I live and he enjoys playing in that league and he's got friends from his teams
Don't
from however
forget
many.
why we do it.
and
Exactly.
and I remember the mom saying, "Well, I would take my kid anywhere. I would drive 45 minutes each way if it was a better soccer league." And here I am thinking, man, I, as a solo dad with two boys that sometimes, I mean, I don't know if you
Yeah, you're
remember,
going
but
in different directions.
back in the fall on Monday, I dropped my younger son off at Boy Scouts at 7 o'clock. Then I had to rush to the soccer field to drop my older son off by 7:30. Then I had to run back to Boy Scouts to pick my younger son up at 8. And then I had to run back to the soccer field to pick up my older son by 9. I don't have
Exhausting.
time. I,
That's
I don't have time.
exhausting.
I know, but I don't have time to drive 45 minutes each way for one kid.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So,
those are choices we
but
make.
But I guess, this wouldn't be the Crushing Debt podcast if we didn't talk about how can we cut some of these costs?
Yeah.
How can we make this impact of back to school shopping a little bit less?
Well, I mean, the obvious in all of this is building a back to school budget. Don't go in there with what's in my head on the things that we need. Go in there with here's a written categorized budget that basically says, here's how much we're going to spend, and just go in and make the purchases necessary for that. So it's back to school list and checklist, but include your electronics, include the calculators, include the clothing, include like fully like what do you need? And then hard decisions need to be made. If like we can only spend X amount of dollars, stay within that budget and
Right.
don't go above and beyond. And please, I mean, I think we've said this before, stay away from buy now, pay later. It's
Yeah.
very easy right now because it's right at the cash register. It's right there. Those kind of costs add up quickly, and again, we definitely are not big fans of it. But it's one of those, like for me, budget, ah, and I'll even throw one in because I like you. You know, sinking fund. Start saving
Yeah.
now. Start
Yeah.
saving now. If you're not doing it now, save it for next year's back to school. Because again, if you have youngins, you're going to go, this is going to be a routine you're doing every year. Have a back to school sinking fund where you're dipping into it. Even if you need the $900, save it, divide it by 12. And you're doing this every year where you're ready for these costs. It's not hidden anymore. It's something that you're saving for every year. So that would be
Yeah.
my three that I'll kind of stick with.
So a couple of the ones that I do, I am lucky enough to have two boys, and so hand-me-downs is a thing in my
Oh, my
house,
goodness. Yes.
especially now that my older son doesn't need the school uniforms, but my younger son still does.
Hmm.
All of my older son's polos that he just doesn't want to wear anymore because he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Now I've almost doubled my younger son's clothing inventory, so I don't need to buy as many clothes for my younger son.
Love it.
Um, Hand me downs in terms of, so I'll give this away, and hopefully the IRS isn't monitoring this podcast.
We're
Um,
popular.
I'll buy a box of paper for the office. Well, if I happen to bring home one ream of paper for one of the boys, so be it.
Yeah.
If I happen to bring home a box of pencils that the law firm ordered for the boys, so be it. So, there's a way to combine it there. Although, again, theoretically, you'd have to report all that, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
yeah.
But, the reality is it happens. People do
Yep.
that. The other thing that I like to do in one of my networking groups is a nonprofit um, church food bank that feeds people that maybe don't have enough money to buy their own food.
Right.
They are aligned with an app, and I'm sure that there's multiple apps and multiple places where this happens, but this one particular nonprofit is aligned with an app called Raise Right.
Hmm.
And so Raise Right will sell you gift cards to what Target, Home Depot,
Yeah.
grocery stores, restaurants, whatever. But a percentage of what you pay to buy the gift card goes back to the nonprofit.
Nice.
So if I know I'm going to Publix for back to school shopping, I can buy, call it $1,000 gift card. Well, now that's my budget. I can't go over because I don't have enough on the
Ah,
gift card
smart.
to go over.
Love it.
And not only do I have my budget and I have the gift card, but now a percentage of that gift card gets paid to the
Super
charity
smart.
to help with the charity. So that's
Yeah.
that's one of the ways that I can
Give back
set
to
my
that's a
budget
smart move. Love it.
and give back a little bit.
Oh, I like that. Check to see again. There's obviously local food pantries. That's a good way to give back and also be able to support. Obviously, you got to get back to school supplies and get what you need, but be able to give back to those charities that need it as well. I would say, as part of your tips too, please give those local charities. There's going to be a lot of backpack bonanzas and giving back to school in those activities where again, not everyone is as fortunate to be
Right.
able to have that. So there's a good opportunity to be able to give back in those. So look out for your Facebooks and your local Chamber of Commerce. There's probably going to be a lot of those upcoming that you can provide that support back to.
Yeah. And
Um,
we've done that. We've done that as well. My boys like
Love
to
it.
get a new book bag, like to get a new lunchbox every
Hmm.
year. And so we take the old ones and we
Donate.
donate them somewhere.
Love. Dude, you guys are good. You're a good person, Charlie Brown. I like that.
Thanks.
We already kind of mentioned the sales tax date holidays. Take advantage of those in your state to be able to save some money. There's opportunity there. Um, the other thing too, I mean, we talked about the sports, right? Call the activity provider, the sports league, those kind. ask for the full costs and see if there's payment plans, scholarship options. We don't
Scholarships.
we don't recognize that those things do exist. And if if there's opportunities to save money there, dude, look them up. But you have to make the phone call and be able to see if there's those options are available.
We had a kid on our soccer team last year that didn't have a lot of money, and so we all as parents chipped in, and we bought him goalie gloves, and we bought him, we helped to offset the cost of the uniform. And I know the soccer league that we're in does provide scholarships. I know the Boy Scouts provide
Yep.
scholarships.
Yep.
So definitely look for those things, because the schools want the kids to participate in as much as possible so they become more well-rounded students. So definitely check for scholarships for those types of things if you need it.
Yep. Love it. Love it. Love it. There's always ways to think about. So, dude, I have to say, you are crushing the Crushing Dead episodes lately. So I'm going to give you some credit on there, bro. This is
I I
good.
would I would say we are crushing that
But
episodes.
yeah, back to school is going to be in full effect. I would say, look for ways to find look for ways to really save that money. Say no where you need to say no. That's going to be again setting those boundaries between, your budget and the actual spend. But please put a budget together. Look for ways to be able to save money, and give you those limits because it's very easy. As you could tell, the numbers we kind of rattled off got us nervous. It's easy to spend money out there, and it looks like all of us are falling into that trap where it's like, if the industry's making 49 billion, we've got to, we definitely have to find ways to save some money during this process.
Absolutely. So if you want to help George and I buy supplies for our kids, there's the Patreon page, patreon.com/crushing debt.
This guy
Um, I
gets us in
know.
trouble every time.
Every time. No, but that money does go back into the show. But you can look there. We're also going to get the YouTube page up and running so you can see
Yes,
some of the older videos on YouTube. If you want to see them earlier than they're released on YouTube, you can always go to Patreon, but we will get
yes.
some of those old episodes up on a YouTube page. Other than that, happy back to school season.
Too soon already. But yes, good luck out there. If you have any ideas, saving tips, if there's apps you use to save money, or other tips that we haven't covered, by all means, please send us, on YouTube, if, when we're up and running, on the Facebook, and, yes, just give us some comments, send us an email. There's different ways to send us. But again, all tips are welcome because we want to make sure we're all trying to get out there and ahead when it comes to the back to school shopping.
Yep, absolutely. And one of my friends always says that the days are long and the years are short. So
Mm.
it won't be too long before we do the 2027 back to school episode.
Hey, the fact that we'll have that opportunity, my friend, is going to make me very, very happy. So let's go.
Absolutely. So I think that'll do it for this week's episode. Again, we hope that you have more money at the end of the month rather than month at the end of the money. And we will talk to you in next week's episode of the podcast.